So good morning. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us for the Ninja Accelerator. Today we're going to talk about daily actions to achieve your goals. A couple things I would love if you could do. Open up the chat. Make sure you've got that up. And then also Q&A. So chat is for chat. You want to send anything to us? That's great. If you have questions, there's the Q&A section as well. So that is where it's easier for us to manage questions. So I'm going to ask mostly for you to participate in the chat today. So you're not really going to need the Q&A unless you do have specific questions, but Carma and I are going to encourage you to put things into the chat. So make sure you have it open. Big participation today. The first question I have before we get started is, did you have a morning routine today? Is there anything that you've added or have been doing? Maybe you've been doing it for the last 10 years. If you have a morning routine, click yes, hit yes, type it into the chat and let us know. And whatever that is, right, Carma, we've been talking about it this week in terms of daily routines. We heard from Thad yesterday, and if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure you look that up and check it out. So that's number one. Number two, daily routine. We talked about how important it is in starting your day. So Carma, did you do anything this morning as part of a morning routine?
I did. I try to start every morning with a cup of coffee in the backyard until it's really, really cold. So I go out, no phone, no nothing, and just kind of get centered and get cold eventually. But this morning was gorgeous. So it makes me feel like it's a great way to start the day.
Yeah, that's great. I love doing that too. So everybody, thanks. Make sure that you've got the chat open one last time. We're going to start the video. Today we're talking about daily actions to achieve your goals. And so part of what this entails, or actually it entails both personal and professional. So both your life outside of work and your life within work in terms of how daily actions can help you achieve those goals, whether they are, something, whether it's fitness, weight loss, whatever it might be, eating correctly, but then also business-wise, making sure your pipeline is full, making sure you're fostering relationships. So we're going to let Larry get started here in just a moment. And as we watch the video together, what would be great is if you could type takeaways into the chat. Really important.
Yep.
Really important, for a couple of reasons. Karma's going to go through them after the video, but I think when you type it into the chat, it logs it into your brain. It's sort of like taking notes when you were in school, where you can visualize it later. It registers into your memory, and it's something that if it's important to you, if it's a takeaway that you want to take from this session, please type it into the chat. So thank you for doing that in advance, and we're going to get started here with the video.
Let's go.
Hello and welcome to the Ninja Path. My name is Larry Kendall. I'm the author of Ninja Selling, and I'm here to help you increase your income per hour so that you can have a life. In Ninja Selling, we believe that there are three really keys to your success: your mindset, your skill set, and your actions. This particular session is devoted to actions that you can take on a daily basis that will help you achieve your goals in your career and in your life. If you could wave a magic wand and earn the income that you're looking for this year, that you have a goal for this year, jot that down. What I'd like for you to do right now is on a piece of paper, jot down what your financial goal is for this year. What we're going to show you is what's called 4DX, the 4 Disciplines of Execution. And this comes from an excellent book, The 4 Disciplines of Execution, and I would highly recommend this book. When we say the 4 disciplines, let's go through those. The first one is to focus on your WIG. Now, we don't mean that kind of a WIG. What WIG stands for is your wildly important goals. Hopefully that financial goal that you jotted down is a wildly important goal for you. And what we want you to do is to focus on that wildly important goal. Wildly important goals, we would recommend that you only focus on 1 or 2 at a time. If you have too many goals, it's easy to get distracted and get confused, and the power comes in focus. And make sure that you're focusing on goals that are so important to you that they're battles that you choose and must win in order to win the war. And if you don't do it, you will fail. For most people, their financial goal is that type of a goal. If you went 6 months without income, it would be a problem. So your financial goal is a wildly important goal for most of us. And that wildly important goal has to be measurable. So you've written down a number, so it is measurable. What we're going to show you is how to achieve it. What we need to recognize, first of all, is that your WIGs, your wildly important goals, are lag measures. What is a lag measure? A lag measure is something that we use to track our wildly important goal. Income is a lag measure. The number of listings that you take each year, that's a lag measure. In other words, the performance that drove them is in the past. By the time you get to your wildly important goal, you can't fix it. So what is it that really is the lead measures that drive your income, drive your listings, drive your goals? Well, we want to identify those and act on the lead measures. So here's a group exercise. What are the lead measures of these wildly important goals? Let's just use an example. Let's say you want to lose 10 pounds. Well, what would be the lead measures? Well, obviously, diet and exercise. How many calories in? How many calories being burned? If we measured those, we could very quickly forecast our weight loss. What about a trip to Hawaii? Well, that's the lag measure, that's the goal, but what would we have to do to prepare for that trip? We would have to make arrangements, flights, hotels, and so on. Get it on our calendar. Those would be the lead measures. How about completing a marathon? What we know is you can't train for a marathon the night before. So what would be all the preparation and the miles and the training that we would need to do to be able to complete a marathon? And then likewise, what about your financial goal? What are the lead measures that will lead you to your financial goal? Great lead measures should be predictive. That is, cause and effect. If I do this, I'll get this result. Secondly, they need to be influenceable. That is, I can choose to do this. I can choose to modify my diet and exercise, for example. I have an influence. You also have an influence on your income. We believe that ninjas are on purpose rather than on accident. So it's not just an accident that we would earn this income. We have an influence over it. Third, it needs to be user-friendly. Now, it's interesting. There are a number of predictive and influenceable activities that we could do that aren't particularly user-friendly. I know when I first got into real estate, I was taught to make phone calls. I was taught to make 100 calls a day, 500 a week. I lasted a couple of weeks. I couldn't keep it up. It just wasn't user-friendly. Likewise, I was taught to door knock. If I could knock on and talk to 100 owners at their door, it was very predictable what would happen. The problem is, to talk to 100 owners, I had to knock on about 400 doors to find 100 home. It was not user-friendly, and again, I lasted about 2 weeks. And then finally, it needs to have a high return on investment, both in dollars and in time. And frankly, knocking on 400 doors to talk to 100 people to have one transaction is not a real high return on our investment and our time. What is the best lead measures that you can do in Ninja? It's very simple. It's your Ninja 9. Your Ninja 9 is 5 daily habits and 4 weekly habits. They don't take much time. The 5 daily habits take about 15 minutes a day. Get up in the morning and give thanks. Get your vibe in a positive state. Do your affirmations. Most powerful thing you can do is send a person 2 personal notes. Show up and stay on your agenda. Don't open your email, because once you do that, what happens? You're on somebody else's agenda. Focus on your hot list, those people that are ready to go, and focus on your warm list, those that are ready to go probably within the next year. Again, this only takes about 15 minutes a day. Then your 4 weekly habits. Have a set time each week when you do this. Take good care of your customers. Call all of your sellers. Call all of your under contract buyers, your active buyers, and so on. Schedule 2 live real estate reviews. Make sure you're in flow with 50 people per week live, face-to-face or on the phone, and then have a set time each week when you update your database. These are really easy habits, and you'll get a high return on those investments. Are the Ninja 9 habits predictive? Absolutely. We know what will happen. If you're not doing the Ninja 9 and you start, you'll see a dramatic increase in your income. Are they influenceable? Absolutely. You can influence whether you do them or whether you don't do them. Are they user-friendly? About as user-friendly as it gets in real estate. And also, you'll have a very high return on your investment in time. Number 3 is keep a scoreboard. So you want to track your lead measures. We call it forward and record. Do your forward calls, your family, occupation, recreation, and dream calls, and record those calls. Here's an example of a weekly scoreboard. This is out of a Ninja planner that we're working on and should have available for you to purchase if you're interested. This also basically looks just like a calendar where you're recording your activities for the week. Here's an example of forward and record. Just a list of who we talked to and what happened. You know, it's interesting, Frederick Herzberg did some research, and he found that of all forms of human motivation, the most effective one is progress, tracking your activities. We tend to do it if we track it. You know, if you're training for a marathon, you tend to track your miles, for example. And today, you know, one of the great examples of tracking that's become a game is the Fitbit. How many friends do you know that wear Fitbits and that they have a game to see how many steps or how many miles that they can get each day? The same is true on your lead measures. If you track them, you're more likely to do them. And finally, number 4, get into a cadence or a rhythm of responsibility. Well, what does that mean? Well, what you want to do is have a set time each week when you take a look at your scorecard. And how did you do? Review your scoreboard once a week, learn from last week, here's what happened, here's what I can do better, and you make new commitments for the following week. The biggest trap we have in falling off the ninja path or not doing our lead measures is what we call the whirlwind. The whirlwind is all those daily activities that we have to get involved in. The phone calls, the voicemails, the emails, the meetings. But guess what? That whirlwind is important stuff too. We have to be able to do that. In fact, we have really a choice between the whirlwind, which is our day job, and the job that we're trying to do. We're really building 2 businesses. We're building our current business and we're building our future business. And there's an old saying, if you ignore your current business, you could die today. If you ignore your future business, you could die tomorrow. So we don't want to die either way. We have to do both, but we have to have a set time each day and each week when we work on our future business. The lead measures that are going to take us to our wildly important goals. So we'll summarize the 4 disciplines of execution. The first one is to focus on your wildly important goal. The second one is to act on your lead measures, which is your Ninja 9. Third is create a compelling scoreboard. That is, track your lead measures, what we call forward and record. And then finally, get into a cadence of responsibility. Get into a weekly pattern of a set time each week where we review how you did and set goals for the next week. If you follow the 4DX formula, you'll achieve your goals. The system works. If you work the system, it'll work for you. We can show you the path. This is an example of the 4DX, but you're going to have to walk it. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this lesson.
All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. So let's take a look at what some of the takeaways were. Thank you, everyone, for participating. The chat box is full.
Exploding.
Yes, which is awesome. So
Awesome.
Thank you for doing that, because we've got a lot to cover. And what this means is that you were watching and you took things away from this. So let's do this. I'm going to stop that and let's talk. So Karma, do you want to go through some of the chat, some of the takeaways there?
Sure, but before we go through the takeaways, if you didn't already, write down a wildly important goal or 2, maybe 1 professional and 1 personal. We would love it if you guys would write that down now, either on a piece of paper in front of you, put it on your phone, or if you're willing to share it in the chat. There were a few people who had done that. I think it always makes you more accountable when you put your goals in front of other people. So if you're willing to do that, go ahead. But either way, take a second and put down a wildly important personal goal and a wildly important professional goal. And then I'm going to take a look back. A lot of what we have in the chat really is just people typing in all the great takeaways from Larry's video. And we have a few questions and testimonials too about the Ninja Planner, people who use it, who love it. I think Sarah or somebody asked how they can get one. So if you do Ninja, you can get a planner, correct, Kevin?
That's right. And you can go to ninjaselling.com and you can actually buy them there.
Separately.
Yes, correct.
So, but as we look, I see tons, I mean, people are really just, one thing I loved was that Nikki Kofkin said you can do your tracking on the CRM. which is of course true. And our CRM was based on Ninja principles. And so our CRM is just a phenomenal way to keep yourself on track professionally. So many of those things that Larry talked about are in there. So we've got people talking about the Ninja Planner, talking about how important it is to track results so that you can see your progress, because we know that when we have one success, it leads to other successes. It's motivating to make progress towards your goals, to have success. A lot of people saying tracking is motivation. We had so many comments, rhythm to reviewing once a week and having rhythm to each day and week versus the daily whirlwind, otherwise known as life, which is one of the biggest takeaways always for me, is working in your business. And you're working in your business too much instead of on your business. You're letting it control you and spin you around, responding to everybody else. But those are, a lot of just comments on and wanting to be able to rewatch the video. And you can do that when all of these sessions are recorded and they will be available. So, Kevin, you wanna?
Yeah, I'll jump in with some of these. I think there's a couple things. Number one, you brought up the CRM, and I think, Nikki brought that up first. The CRM, there was a question, Nancy Karp asked a question about whether there will be overall reporting in terms of outreach. And the answer is yes. The first step was the update that we put in 2 weeks ago, which is where now there's a single feed of all of your outreach for each individual. And the next step is where there's going to be reporting where you can see weekly, monthly, annually, what your outreach looks like, and be able to tie it. The goal is to be able to tie it to your production so that we understand how outreach and what you do, how you communicate with your people impacts your success. So a couple of the takeaways too that were in here that were really cool are the fact, I think that it was very early on, and a lot of you typed it in, it's really about your goals being measurable. And I think that's super important because a lot of times we say, and let's just use losing weight, right? So for me, I put on weight during between the March to August period. And so if I had just said, hey, I want to lose weight. Okay. Now, I don't know how much I want to lose. I don't know when I've actually hit my goal. It's just a vague statement. I want to lose weight. And when it's a vague statement like that, when I don't know where I want to end up, then it's hard for me to set up the lead measures. And we'll talk about that in a second. It's hard for me to set up the lead measures to get there because I don't necessarily know where I'm going. It's vague. And I also, when they talk about being specific and measurable, there should be a time frame. And so you should set up, in my case, how much weight I want to lose by what time, and then, or by what date. And then I have the ability to adjust my actions to actually reach that goal. So let's talk about that really quickly. Or there's one other question in there that came through from, I think, Lisa Postel. And she asked, how can we have 50 live conversations during COVID? And if you've been through Ninja, you know this. If you haven't, when we talk about live conversations, that simply means that a conversation is taking place. It doesn't mean that we're in person. It can be over the phone, certainly in person. But where a conversation is happening back and forth. And the way to judge it, a conversation is effectively when you have a forward conversation. When you ask forward questions, you learn more about that person, what they're doing, what's going on in their life, where the relationship is being fostered. So again, the 50 conversations, it sounds overwhelming, but they all don't need to be in person, especially it's more difficult during COVID while we're socially distancing. So I wanted to touch on that. So let's talk about this lag versus lead measures. Lag, surprisingly, is not an acronym. So lag measures simply means that the measurable part of it lags after you've done the actions. It means, for me, let's say losing weight. If I wanted to lose 10 pounds, my lag measure is what I weigh after I've lost the 10 pounds. The lead measure is what I am doing to get to that point, to reach my goal, if that makes sense. So lead measures, the difference here is lead measures are the daily actions that lead to where you want to go. And there were a couple questions in there. The book and I highly recommend it. It's the 4 Disciplines of Execution, 4DX. You can buy it. It's not a short read, but I will tell you it's highly impactful. And when you go through it, there's a lot in there. But what you can do, and this is one of those books, we recommended it, I think, on Monday or Tuesday during coffee. This is one of those books that you can come back to. So you can read it once, and then in the morning, part of the daily morning routine that we've talked about is reading something inspirational, learning something. You have the ability to come through and read one chapter. And sometimes it's more impactful to reread a book than read a book for the first time, because you can apply it because it's not your first time taking it in. So I highly recommend the book. You can find it at local bookstores and online. But let's talk about the lead versus lag. One more point about this is that the lead measures are what take you to your goal, and the lead measures are so important because if we don't do those, we will never hit our goal clearly. And from there, let's talk about the morning routine, Karma, because I think whether it's the Ninja 9 and whether it's the do it now morning routine, or what we're talking about now with love. With our love program, what does the morning routine look like, Carma?
Well, I think what was great was yesterday, the Golden Wong moment with Thad, where he was talking about his morning routine. And it's all about taking, some time in the morning for yourself to love. And you need to do that to love yourself, right? And to then be useful and to be able to love others, right? Take care of yourself and what you need to do. And if we think about it, when I was listening to Thad talking and answering the different questions, it was really meaningful to me, because just taking that time in the morning to collect yourself ties right into all of the things that Larry was talking about, these 4 disciplines of execution. So when you're sitting, you take that time for yourself at the start of your day, you're focusing. You're focused on your goals, your gratitudes, might often be tied to your goals, or they lead, thinking about doing your gratitudes and affirmations is going to lead you into your goals. So you're able to hit that focus right there at the beginning of the day. Then if you're acting on your lead measures to both your personal and professional goals, you're able to sit and do that in the morning. Think about your day. What do I have to do? Like, I sit there and make sure that I plug in the things that I know I have to do to achieve a long-term goal. And I have that ability to do that in the morning, in that morning routine where I'm sitting down and I'm blocking out the time. Otherwise, the minute I get into the emails and the minute I begin reacting and responding, my day tends to be dictated now by others. So I need to protect my agenda that gets me to where I want to be. And so, part of that then is going into that CRM and tracking what I did that day, or maybe I track what I did the day before, whatever it may be. I'm going to go into the CRM, log all my contacts, log all my activities, and then I know that I'm ready to go and I can see where I'm at. I can also see where I've been. Am I a little behind? Maybe I have the opportunity to look ahead a few days. Maybe I'm going to take a look for birthdays and anniversaries, all those things that we can do if we just set aside those 15 minutes so you can get your focus, you can start acting on your lead measures, you can get your tracking done, and then you can also be setting that cadence of responsibility that Larry talked about, which is really time blocking, right? It's really about setting aside some time not only for yourself in this morning routine, but then within that morning routine, scheduling out the time for the day and for the week, and potentially you're looking at the month, right? When we're coaching, we're talking about having a schedule for the year, the quarter, the month, the week, the day, because you cannot get to these goals. You cannot lay out a business only looking at the immediate time frame right in front of you. You've got to have a plan. And I think that that's something that can be really easily accomplished in like 15 minutes every morning if you take that time for yourself to work on your business before you begin working in your business, spinning around, responding to everybody else, because things are always going to come up. So I think that's something that I thought was really great about, setting up the morning routine and how it all tied into it's all about love, is that you need to do this for yourself, to set that time for yourself to be able to achieve your goals. So protect your time.
Yes, definitely. And personal story here. So I did have a weight loss goal, right? And to get back, because I literally, I'm sharing this, I literally did nothing athletic or fitness wise from March until the end of August, quite honestly, because I used to go to classes shut down, and then you had to wear a mask at some of the classes where you run on a treadmill, and I cannot do that. So I did nothing. And so I set this weight loss goal in fitness. And then I also set a goal in how many days I want to work out per month. And so what I did is that became a huge part of my morning routine. But we get thrown off track sometimes, right? Things happen. So we have these goals. But one of the things that keeps me on track is being able to see the number of days that I've worked out, being able to see the days if I've missed any. And that's motivation back to me. The other side of it is you start to feel better. And I'm using weight loss or fitness, as a great example because it's so tangible. And so for me now, I'm motivated because I'm feeling better, it's seeing changes, et cetera. And so one of the ways that we've presented you is using this habit tracking worksheet, right? Now, this is a fake one I made up. Down here, I have call mom. And I just want to make sure that you know that I do call my mom. I don't need a reminder on the habit tracker to do that. But it really is something that if you set goals, tracking it is so important. So we talked about the CRM and logging it there, and there will be more reporting coming. But when you have the ability to see your success, see all of the activities you've been taking, whether it's in the Ninja Planner, this habit tracking worksheet, whether it's on, an app, there are fitness apps, there are gratitude apps that Amy talked about earlier this week. The goal is to make sure that you can see where you're going. And even if we go back in the day, 20 years, Brian Buffini had a giant wall calendar, and I think he still has it in his program, a giant wall calendar that they send out to those in their program, and they have stickers. Every day you've completed a specific activity, you put a sticker on that day. And what the neat thing about that is those are the lead measures, right? So they're measuring what the activity is each day. And similarly on the tracker, as you mark off each day where you've done it, those are the lead measures. And then at the end, when you look back and you look at the lag measures, when you hit your goal or where you are, when you take an assessment, you can see what you've done to get there. And there was a quote that Larry shared, which is so important and a real testimonial to why tracking works. It's because there is nothing that begets more success than success, meaning, and really building confidence. When we start to do something and we see the results, it only drives more. And so that's what we want to encourage with you is, taking, the way this started was with WIGs, right? Wildly important goals, choose one or two. And again, whether it's losing weight, whether it's reaching the Rolex this year, whether it's whatever it might be, a certain number of transactions perhaps, make sure it's measurable, and then only have a couple. If you overload yourself with too many goals, odds are we're going to quit them all. So once you have your wildly important goals, then set up the lead measures, which are the activities that you're going to put on the habit tracker, and then start tracking them and keep this accessible wherever you are most, whether it's in the morning and it's at home, or whether it's at your desk if you come into the office every day. Make sure to track what you're doing. So at the end of the day, you can look back and see how you got there. And you don't stop doing what you did to reach your wildly important goal.
And I think, so great that the stickers, there's a reason we had all those charts at home for our kids too. I don't know if anybody else did, but I had to have charts because we had to have goals so we could get certain behaviors. There's a reason they use those. And I think we can all use a little sticker chart, something visual. I'm a very visual person. I need it in front of me. If I'm going to write it down and put it away somewhere, I'm not going to pay attention to it, which I am going to once again plug the CRM, because what I love one of the things I love on the CRM are the goal trackers that we have on the very top of your dashboard, where it's going to show you throughout the year where you are in both volume and units. And it's another visual cue to show you. And we are prompting you with your outreach. If you rank your people, you're prompted. So, that's our version of the little sticker chart to some degree. But, I think it's been great. So many people have been typing in goals and achievements, goals they've achieved, how they've achieved them, goals they would like to achieve. So it's great to see all of that. And we have one topic question: how much time to spend tracking and measuring and planning versus actually doing the activities? That's a really common problem, is we spend a lot of time making all those lists instead of actually doing anything on the list, which again is, I think, what takes us back to having only one or two things that we're going to focus on as big goals, and then also as those goals for the day. If you put 25 things down to do for today, it isn't going to happen. So, make your priority 3 things, get those done. You're going to feel great about it, and you may get 3 more done, but not to overwhelm ourselves. And I think it's been great to see the sharing. If you didn't type it into the chat, feel free still to type something in, or maybe reach out to a colleague or a friend or a family member and share your goals with them to create some accountability, where you put it out there into the universe in front of somebody, and it makes you a lot more likely to achieve it. So I think, that would be a great thing to do. And our daily routines, we all want to, get those established as we head into a new year, and as we hopefully wave goodbye to 2020 and start new in 2021. I think it's a great thing to do, is set that daily routine, take care of yourself and your business and your personal goals first.
Agreed. Very well said. So a couple of things. Book It, I threw into the chat. If you remember Book It, this is a great example of stickers and rewards. So if you don't know what Book It was, I had it when I was in school, where you had a card, and once you read 10 books, I think, or there was a certain number of books, you could go to the 5-star Pizza Hut restaurant and get a free personal pan pizza. So someone put into the chat about, bribing kids to read with pizza. It worked. I can read. So so I think to wrap this up, I think the big things are use the tools that are available. Someone asked about SMART goals. We have to wrap up because we're over, but one of the things about SMART goals that was asked is, what are our thoughts on them? I think it's important, SMART, they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, timely. They're very important. So when you're setting goals, we didn't go into detail on that. In the book they do, in other books, in every business book or self-help book, they talk about that in some way. It's important because for me, if I said I want to be president, is that attainable and realistic? Probably not. So what is a goal that I'm not setting myself up to fail immediately? When it talks about specific, it means very specifically, if you told someone in one sentence what your goal is, they knew all of these things. I want to lose 10 pounds by December 31st. It's attainable and it's realistic. And timely means I've got a time in there now. So I can measure it on December 31st, whether I have lost 10 pounds or not. And it's similar with your business goals. And if you set a goal, okay, I want to hit the Rolex in 2021. Great. That means by December 31st of 2021, you will have sold 10 million in volume. And then you can work backwards and set up the actions, the lead measures, the things you do each day to get your Rolex. So SMART goals are really important. Sometimes we just say things like, I want to sell more next year. That is none of those things. It's not timely. It's not measurable. It's not specific. It may be attainable or realistic, but without a benchmark to be able to measure it on, it's not going to work. So with that, where do you find all this material? A couple of things. The first, right now, today, there will be a platform page going up. I know I've been saying that. We want it to look great. Platform page will be going up today. And then if you want to watch any of the videos, though, or the habit tracker, or any of the packets for your binders that we've posted or put up, there is one post in the Agent app with literally everything. So it has all the videos from this week thus far. It also has the packet, it has the habit tracker. So go in there and grab it. It's the first post in the training and coaching loop in the Agent app. And just to make sure, you've got access to the Agent app through @propertiesapp.com, @propertiesapp.com. And so last thing, because we do have to wrap, registrations. Just a couple of housekeeping things, because I know registration sometimes is a challenge. Number one, for all of our live events, those are Mondays and Thursdays. They are live and you have to register. So for Mondays, you can register at @propertieslove.com. Just go to @propertieslove.com and you can register for every single one of the Mondays right there. For Thursdays, Ninja Accelerators, you can register at @propertiesninja.com. Those are our two live events, Mondays and Thursdays. The other days, we're sending out videos. And you'll watch for those. They're out by 9 or 9:30 a.m., depending on the day. And one of the things with Zoom, when you do register for the live events, the email confirmation that comes out from Zoom comes from no-reply@zoom.us. Now, it goes out. It gets sent out. But I know a lot of people haven't been able to find it or see it, or they haven't gotten it. Tip one, make sure you spell your email address correctly. I know this sounds so remedial and basic, but when I look through the registration, there are tons of email typos. So make sure when you register, you type in the right email address. Number two, oftentimes these emails go into spam, junk, clutter, not focused, or somewhere else. So that is set up based on your individual settings and activities and actions. So make sure you check those folders after you register. And then lastly, you can add that email address. I'm going to type it into the chat here. You can add this email address to your address book, and it will reduce the odds that it will go into your spam, junk, or clutter. And to close out, I just saw a great comment from Andrew. Said focus on consistency, and I think that's the truth. That's where this habit tracker comes in. Once you have the actions that you need to do, the lead measures, once you have those, doing them consistently is the key. It's not writing 50 cards a day. It's writing 50 cards today and not doing them for the next 3 months. It's writing 2 cards a day for the next 3 months.
Little bites of the elephant is the old saying. And also love yourself enough to give yourself a break. If everybody will fall off, everybody will fail a goal here and there, but don't give up. Just give yourself a break, love yourself enough to say, hey, so today I didn't do one of the 3 things I meant to do. Back on the horse tomorrow, get it done.
That's it. And personal story, back to mine to close out. I didn't work out yesterday or Tuesday, and I felt terrible. And I was beating myself up. And then I rolled out this morning, rolled out of bed and got it done. And it's all because, and I'll tell you, this is the truth. It's because I have a tracker. Other people can see the tracker. And I was like, wow, I have 2 missed days in a row. I am terrible. But you can't beat yourself up about it. I got back on it today, and I know I'm going to do it, I'm back on. So
you get rid of the quarantine 15.
That's right. Why are you saying 50? So you're saying I have to lose 15.
15. It's a quarantine 15. Well, the 10 doesn't rhyme with quarantine. I went with the rhyme.
So you think I should lose 15, not 10?
Kevin.
Okay. All right. We are good. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Karma, great as always. And
have a great Thursday.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. Enjoy. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.